This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Gus Schwartz says, I know we don't need running backs, but if Gibbs is there in the second round, we got to take a very special talent. Whatever you want, Gus. I don't think they're going to do that, my brother. So, some of you out there, you want to force something that doesn't really happen. And, we have this thing with fans and their favorite teams. And I love your passion, Gus, and I love the passion that all of you bring to the table. Like, the other day somebody asked me, oh, they acquired this guy. Do we know what they're going to do with him? Like, yeah, we're not going to be known any of that stuff. I love it, but no, it's kind of silly right now. We don't know. Down the line, we'll find. Even the coach sometimes gets a player and they have an idea of what they want to do with that player, but they don't really know yet until they put them in that position, find out what they can and can't do and all those kind of things. And I think there's a disconnect. And it happens here with Dolphin fans a little bit because your passion blinds you from the reality. The reality is they signed all 4 running backs. And there are guarantees to the top 2 backs. So, yeah, maybe you could draft somebody and that person will challenge the 3rd running back for that spot. Maybe. Or if you're going to keep 4 and Gaskins would be your 4, then that rookie could take over. It's possible. But is that the necessity right now? And that's the problem that everybody that requires a running back in the draft, like this man here, Gus, it's because they don't believe in Jeff Wilson or Raheem Mostert. Or they don't want to believe that they got over 4.5 yards a carry with a decent line, not even a good line, not even a great line, not even an exceptional line, not even a monster line, just a serviceable line. So what is really the problem? The problem is the offensive line. And so the offensive line has got to get better. And Mike McDaniel has to commit more to the run, and he admitted that. Those are the issues. Same disconnect happens on the offensive line. The guys that are coaching the offensive line, they have not given up on Austin Jackson and Liam Eichenberg. But a bunch of you out there, right, a ton of you have given up on them. That's where this disconnect is. And so you are refusing to believe the reality that they're not that desperate for offensive linemen. They might go add another guy, but they don't need to add 3-4 guys. They don't feel that way. They feel like they're going to get something out of Austin Jackson and Liam Eichenberg. And by the way, they got something out of Robert Jones, so they also have him. So could they add one more guy to the mix to be in the competition? Sure, depth, all that. But do they act like they desperately need a lineman? No, they didn't. Did they act like they desperately need a running back? No, they didn't. And that's where I think there's a couple of those positions that there seems to be a lack of reality. And by the way, it also goes with Tua, right? Because there's some of you out there that are still not convinced with Tua. So you wanted them to go get Lamar Jackson, something stupid like that, or something else, whatever, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, whatever was out there this year, a bunch of you wanted to go in that direction. So a lot of you don't live in the reality that Tua is the quarterback. You don't live in the reality that they're fine with their running backs. And you don't live in the reality that they, not the rest of us, they are not acting like they desperately need offensive linemen. And for them, it was an injury-riddled season with Eichenberg and Jackson. They didn't get to coach them and coach them through the season and get them better. That's the way they look at it. And they think there's upside with those guys. And that's the problem in 3 positions. Gus brought it up, and it just seems like there's a disconnect at running back, a disconnect on the offensive line, and a disconnect with the quarterback. And you refuse to believe what the front office is doing and what are the tendencies of your general manager. The tendencies of your general manager are they don't draft running backs high. The tendencies of your general manager is they don't pay running backs a lot of money, right? That's just the way it is. And then the other tendency has been they've been committed to Tua from the get-go. I mean, I told you that it was Tua right after the season ended, and yet all this FUD was written and talked about and all that. And I just think that some of you have to come to the realization of what the reality is and what these guys are actually really doing there in the front office and how they're building it and what they believe in. It may not be what you believe in, but it's what they believe in. And that's where I would tell Gus and everybody else, you know, get ready to be disappointed because it's probably not going to be a running back in the second and third rounds. There's a very good chance it's going to be something else, and probably more along the lines of a tight end or an offensive lineman or maybe even a safety or a linebacker, but not a running back, not a quarterback. That's just the reality.